And you are tuned into the Ashraf God.
We'll end the show with a chat about that feature we call Mosques from Around the World. We'll focus on a mosque in Zanzibar. Looking forward to that. But let's talk about champion spotting. So you may know that I head up a project called Champion South Africa. We have a goal to build South Africa into a champion nation. We do that by building the champions that will build the champion nation. So part of the building the champions, we have to spot these champions. Who are these people? Are they how switched on are they in developing community and country? And how are they striving and are they best in class? So one such person is Catherine Constantinides. She does a lot of things. I'm not going to talk about everything else she does. I want to focus on what she's doing in Ramadan in particular, because that certainly got my attention and the attention of many other people who may not even know her. It's like, who is this woman anyway? So let's find out. So Catherine Constantinides, who tweets under Change Agent. Appreciate your time and good morning.
Assalamu alaikum, Ashraf. It's wonderful to talk to you and the listeners.
Thank you. Walaikum salam. Absolutely right. So here's the thing. I mean, certainly you and I know each other well enough over many, many years, right? But I've had questions from others who don't know you. It's like, who's this woman tweeting about running an iftar? Like, and who is she and why is she doing that? And the answer?
The answer is Catherine is someone that is a humanitarian, somebody who understands that we live in the beauty of a diverse country. And I think that I come from a community where most, if not all, my neighbors are Muslim. And I think that using my platform to share that this is a time that is holy, that is beautiful, and we should extend ourselves to understand each other. I'm Orthodox, and so this week I observed the Orthodox Easter. But if I'm able to give of myself and in a small way share who I am as one human being, understanding that humans are humans are humans. And this is not the first year that I've hosted an Iftaar dinner. And for me to be able to do that with my Muslim community, to add value in a country that I call home, it is for all of us to see what we can do to extend ourselves, to understand each other, and to be a part of each other's lives.
Okay, and that's the strong motivation, right? So this particular iftar dinner was set up where, and what was your role in that?
So I ran the entire iftar dinner. I had to fundraise for it. I had to find partners, sponsors, people who would assist me. We did an iftar dinner for 150 children at a orphanage at a madrasa in Rosettenville in Johannesburg. And the madrasa has a masjid right there next door to it. And last year what we did was we hosted an iftar there for 250 people, and that included the additional extended community from that area. This time it just included the children specifically. And, for me, it was important to find a way to make it happen. We can't always get it done on our own. So I always ask for people to assist with small things, big things, whatever anyone can bring to the table as such. And we had the most beautiful dinner exactly a week ago. And I'm hoping, God willing, we will do one last dinner before Eid happens, God willing, next weekend.
Okay. Well, I'm just disappointed I wasn't there. I think we all get caught up in our own lives and our own commitments. We tend to ignore some of the finer detail, and this is like a finer detail. I often talk about you build a champion nation by building champion communities, right? And here's an example. You can't do it for the entire country in one go, but you certainly highlight a community maybe close to where you live, and you say, hold it, let's see how we can uplift this community, and you've done just that. Response from the community, both people of the Islamic faith and those on the who may be Christians and others who saw then what was going on. What sort of responses did you get?
I got such a beautiful response. As you said, I tweet under Change Agent SA and across social media, Twitter and Instagram. If anyone is there, I'd ask you to engage with me. Let us have those discussions. People wanted to know what I was doing. What did I need? There was a beautiful response of people wanting to know, but what is an iftar? Why am I doing it? And very much similar to the conversation we've just had, but with people who do not know what an iftar is. And as well as people from the Islamic community who said, well, you need dates or you need this. How can I help? What can we bring? And I think it was a community effort to make something special happen for those children whom we hosted the dinner for. And I think that it's it's the small things we do from where we are that make the biggest difference. I would encourage people to really understand the community they come from before they try to, do something else outside of the space where they are at home. And once we understand where we are in the fabric of the very society that we are a part of, then we're starting to change our country one step at a time. As you build a champion nation, as you've always advocated for, I think sometimes people forget we're not looking for the big acts, the grand acts that are perhaps national or international. We're looking at how do we change that small corner of the earth that we live on. And for me, this Iftaar dinner did exactly that, as well as the remainder of the last 2 weeks where I've done community feedings in the very community where I come from, where the need is the most, and bringing people to come in and say, I'm going to do all the hard work. Just come, volunteer, give of your time, come and see what we're doing, and come and see how a small difference by each and every individual collectively has impact.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing, and I'll raise this from the point that I brought up at the outset, right? I mean, you've really qualified yourself as like the change agent and as a humanitarian, so that's where your heart is, right? But some may say one thing is supporting the humanitarian needs of others, like for example, say a Dr. Imtiaz Suleiman or Kari Ziad Patel, who I know you've crossed paths with on many occasions, right? That's one is like that, but the other is you're not just supporting, you're heading up. In this case, you're heading up a project, a relief project around Iftaar, in the name very much, centered around the Islamic faith, and yet you yourself are not Muslim. So some may say it's like you're part of one political party. Would you support another political party? How do you respond to that?
I wouldn't agree at all. I'm South African and I live in a multicultural, multi-religion community. I believe that it is the power and strength of the individual to extend their mind, their ability to transcend religious barriers, cultural barriers. You've mentioned two remarkable humanitarians, both Dr. Imtiaz Suleiman and Dr. Kari Ziad Patel, both work within spaces where they don't only work within a religious realm. And I think that we have to stop boxing each other in and only doing things because we are one, we tick these boxes, let us only work in that space. I think that's what holds us back from developing, from growing, from understanding each other. And so I think that there is a beauty and strength of being able to do things across religious, racial, cultural, and traditional lines. And if we don't understand each other, how are we ever going to build a community that we can all live in?
Yeah, I think well said. You said at the outset, like if you want to go into a community that's not your own, you need to understand the people in that community in terms of what they do, what they don't do. Otherwise, it is like you're dictating to them. I think that's a very important point, right? But some may say in a similar way, once you've undertaken as an Orthodox Christian as you are, wanting to assist people of different faiths, in this case, say the Muslim faith, you also have to understand the culture. And having known you for a long time, I've certainly been very aware your growing awareness of the Islamic culture, of the Muslim faith, of the language, of the tones, of what's possible and what's not possible, and the mannerisms, and that's grown on you. And how much have you learned about that?
I have really taken the time and the effort to understand as extensively as is humanly possible. I sometimes think that it's interesting because sometimes I understand things far greater than the next person who may not be of the Islamic faith. But I have taken time because I've worked in Islamic states around the world, because I work so closely with people of, Muslim people across South Africa, across the world, in places where I work. I've taken the time and the effort to make sure that I not only understand but learn about those cultural norms, the traditions, the faith. Because if I'm going to work on the ground somewhere, it's important for me to not only understand the people that I'm living with and working with and fighting for, but I must truly listen, learn, and unlearn the cultural norms of society to be able to truly be one with the people I work with. And that goes for not only... sorry, one last thing I just want to say is it's not only the people of, the Muslim people I work with, but even on the ground in rural and township communities across South Africa where I work extensively, I've spent time listening to those people. Those communities have become mine because I have immersed myself in truly understanding, listening, and learning.
Well, I mean, that's your gift. The fact that you have empathy and you absolutely make the effort to do just that. Yes, you write about predominantly Muslim spaces that you've worked in, not just in South Africa, but I mean clearly with the Sahrawi people and their fight against the Moroccans, or Morocco rather, and then in Lebanon, that I think you went with the African Muslims Agency, as well as in Afghanistan. Just over a year and a bit or so ago. So you've done many things, right? How do you when you do that, and then even in a South African context, when you go into township areas and these are township people, not Muslim, Christian, maybe not, and you just tend to understand them. How do they respond to you as a person?
I must tell you that in the communities where I work here in South Africa, those communities have become like home. So the people welcome me because I'm one of them. I'm part of that community. And that's probably because I've taken the time, the energy, and have truly poured myself into learning, understanding, and being part of the fabric of what is the challenge, not just going there and saying, well, this is what I'm going to do for you. Truly understanding what is the challenge and finding out what needs to be done. There's a very different way of looking at this. Even in the communities around the world where I've worked, be it in Afghanistan, Pakistan, Kashmir, in North Africa, being in Algeria, or in Western Sahara, the Sahrawi people have become my second nation. And when I'm in the Sahara, the people of the Sahara, up to the president of Western Sahara, calls and refers to me as the daughter of the Sahara. There can be no greater privilege and honor for me than to be asked to be a part of a people, to be welcomed into a home where I am the one that is so odd and different. And that goes, I remember having the most beautiful breakfast on the Syrian border in Lebanon with a group of Syrian refugees. It was one of the most beautiful breakfasts I've ever had. It was in a refugee camp on the border. It was so beautiful because I was welcomed into that home to eat with them as if I was an extended member of that family. There are those moments that I remember and carry with me. Even in Kashmir, where I work there, I felt like I was one of them because they treated me just like one of them, one of their community members, one of their family. I don't take that for granted, and I honor that responsibility given to me by the people I work with.
Well, there you are. What do you think in conclusion then? What is your superpower?
Oh, wow. It's a beautiful question. I don't know. I'm on a journey of continually learning, understanding, unlearning, relearning. I do what I can from where I am. And I think that the power and ability I have to extend myself in communities and places that I work where I am never part of the mass. I'm always the odd one out as such, but I'm able to galvanize communities regardless. Perhaps that's the superpower. But I must say that beyond all of it, the greatest strength that I have is the fact that I know that I'm doing God's work. And I know that we all believe in God and we are working towards the same efforts. It's our intention that's more important than anything else. And I pray for God's protection and grace and will to continue doing the work that I do, because I see the power of the impact of what we're able to do on the ground. And I'm grateful to be able to do that.
Well, I think maybe the superpower, you can work out what it really is, but some may say the obvious superpower is a superpower above all of us, and how God inspires you to do the work that you do. Catherine, great chatting to you as always, right? And as you know, this feature is called Champion Spotting. So, bottom line to all of this, Catherine, rather, you've been spotted. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
There we are, Catherine Constantinides, Change Agent SA on Twitter, and you can follow her as Change Agent SA as well on Instagram too. But yeah, amazing work she's done, a champion of a cause on so many levels indeed. We'll talk about the mosque in East Africa in Zanzibar right after this.